Okay, so I've been binge watching this show, Demon Slayer, for like the last like few days, and it's made me laugh because it's goofy, but it's also pissed me off because it's so boring at times. And I don't know if this is a me thing or if it's just the show or whether the television that I've been watching has been so good that it does so many things in the show way better, and I keep thinking about those shows and comparing it to this show. So let's talk about what is Demon Slayer, just so that we're all on the same page here, right? Demon Slayer is a show on Netflix, which I'm watching it on, uh, about demons. Demons exist in the world, and there is this organization, secret organization, that goes around and kills demons. And the story starts with our protagonist. His whole family gets slaughtered by a demon, except for his sister, which turns into a demon. Uh, and The protagonist, Tanjiro, uh, he uh, he has a really good heart. That's the thing. He cares so deeply about everyone and everything, and so he still wants to protect his sister. And his sister is one of the few demons that actually turns around and say, "Okay, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna eat my brother." I know. Wow, brave choices here, but for demons, that's really tough to not eat people. So he saves his sister, and so the whole story is about the conflict where Tanjiro becomes a stronger and stronger demon slayer while carrying around his demon sister on his back, and she'll sometimes help out with fights. This is Demon Slayer in a nutshell. Uh, whole show is in the title. They fight demons, right? And now, why am I talking about it? Well, I have some critiques, which I'm going to delve into. I have a lot of questions and some weirdness in the show I just need to talk about that maybe critiques, maybe not. I don't really know where to put it. And then I have some praises and I have some anime tropes that this show does, right? But let's get negative, and maybe you can critique my critiques. I'm just trying to understand the show and the appeal of it, right? So let's go into the first one. The show is afraid to take risks, right? Barely anybody dies, right? If you see a demon going after a human, right? Most likely that human is not going to die, right? The times that humans die tends to be off screen and the demon is already eating the human, right? This is a very dark show. And also major spoilers, obviously, right? So no one really dies. It can be quite predictable at times. And the one time that a major character dies, they had to die for the story uh, to to raise the stakes, right? Uh, right? It's the first time we were introduced to one of the upper level demons that are really tough to kill, right? So it's the first time, and what's called a Hashira, right? The Hashira are the best demon slayers, right? So our protagonist is teaming up with a Hashira to kill a demon that has possessed a train. They kill the demon, but then a upper level demon appears to fight the Hashira, and it's kind of obvious that the Hashira is going to die. Because how else are you going to raise the stakes? No one has died. No one important has died aside from the main character's family uh, that had to die to start the whole story, right? Because that's the main character's motivation. Is his family dies. He wants to cure his sister from being a demon, right? So aside from that, that's part of the reason why it's kind of boring to watch. All right. The show, second critique, the show drags out pad time, right? And this is going to go into a bunch of other critiques, right? The show feels very slow at times, right? There is so much unneeded talking in this show, right? So, someone will be hovering mid-air about to slice off like a demon's head, and then they'll just turn around and just have a full-on conversation with someone just standing over there, right? Or there'll be at times where characters are just talking and they're stating the obvious, like, yeah, I'm a really bad dude. I like to eat demons. You're a bad dude and you like to eat humans? Yeah, and I'm gonna kill you, right? Dialogue like that happens so often in this show, and it really annoys me. Like, is this show made for children? Uh, or am I just watching the show wrong? Because there's so many times where I feel like they don't need to state the obvious. They don't need to state how every time, like, how the character is feeling, their motivation, what they're going to do. You could just have that being implied. Maybe the show isn't for me, and maybe that's just the arts, the art style, the artistic direction that they're purposely going with, right? And so maybe this isn't for me, and I acknowledge that. I'm just trying to understand this and explain why this show isn't for me, right? There's just so much unneeded talking. Maybe that's a critique with this. Yeah, he just keeps repeating himself. This is so unneeded talking. Fair critique, right? Uh, and this talking really just slows down fights, right? And then again, like, the show is very predictable, formulaic. Like, the show can have like subtle surprises. Like, I don't really know what's going to happen next season, but it kind of follows into like pattern of like, oh yeah, you kind of know that they're going to face stronger and stronger demons, right? The characters are going to get stronger. So raising the stakes, that's just normal storytelling. But then there's also like, kind of know how the fights are going to happen, right? They're going to fight these big strong demons, right? It's going to go back and forth, and then the main character or the side main characters are going to get all fired up. They're going to unlock some hidden power that they were taught off screen, or they just discover that they have. Like, yeah, I have fire breathing technique. And it's just like, yeah, I guess that's like a good way to, not a good way, just like an easy way to solve major conflicts of peril, of they're gonna die. Oh no, oh, they have this hidden power within them that they unlock. That kind of stuff you have to expect with this show, right? it happens all the time. Uh, and then yeah, the fights are slow. Uh, and I find myself actually wanting to see the the characters to get hurt, right? Because then, like, it starts to speed up, like the consequences, and like the fight starts to wrap up to an end. I want to see these fights end because they drag on for like an hour or hours at times. But I guess that's just some anime. Like that's what happened with the anime Hunter x Hunter. But I I actively root for the main characters to get badly hurt because I just want to see like more action. I want to see this fight wrap up, or I just speed up the video, or I just tune out the fights. I just they're so boring. They're so boring. But maybe that's me. All right. And now let's go on to the section of confusion slash weirdness, right? Both demons and demon slayers are happy to kill uh, their own allies during training or punishment. And I really don't understand that, right? Especially since it's been stated throughout this show that there's not enough demon slayers to combat all these demons. And yet they're so happy to kill demon slayers in training or as a punishment. They were so happy. The Hashira, the main demon slayers, they were so happy to kill Tajiro because he he broke the rules by allying with a demon, right? I just I don't understand that since he's shown how he's a formidable fighter and you don't give him the benefit of doubt. You're just he broke the rules. This rule is severe. Let's kill him, right? Maybe it's just all their trauma, right? And also demons, right? Demons, it can be more passable. They're mean, they're aggressive, and the big bad guy, he's designed the demons to not be able to cooperate very well, right? So that makes sense. But I'm still not happy with it, right? All right. The characters are have very big personalities, yet you call each other weird, right? I sometimes it's frustrating to watch that. Other t- Other times it has me chuckling while watching the show because it's so absurd, it's so goofy. Uh, but what I don't really understand is why they're calling the pot the kettle pot the kettle pot black. I don't know how to say that saying. Um, but they're all like, "Oh yeah, that guy's really weird. I don't understand him." And then they'll go off like, oh, "I'm so in love with her. Oh, she's gonna be my wife." And then they're like, this guy's weird." So it goes back and forth, calling each other weird. Like, "You're weird. You're weird." Right? No, you're weird. It's weird, right? Uh, and another thing I get really annoyed with this show is that it's very mature and very dark. Like this show is so dark. Uh, like they will show scenes of families just being like eaten by demons, right? They'll talk about I think suicide, but there's like a different word they use for it. Uh, and they'll show people being tortured and decapitated, uh, limbs cut off, so much blood and gore, and yet at times they're uh, talking to the audience like kids, especially at the very end of each episode. They have like these info bites, and they're talking like we're kids. So maybe this is a cultural thing. I don't know, but it confuses me and it kind of annoys me that they treat the audience like kids, even though it feels like it's not. Anyways, let's move on. Something I've grown accustomed to when watching anime or shows is to have romance, right? An underlying romance plot that gets me invested, right? Sometimes it can be really frustrating watching it, but I find that I'm more interested in watching a show when there's some romance. And this isn't like a serious critique. This is like most of these critiques, these are just like a personal thing, but there's basically no romance in the show to keep me invested. There are horny people that are very like weird and goofy with their horniness, and it's just left at those characters. And there is some subtle romantic tension, I think, here and there between the main character and a few feminine characters, uh, but nothing concrete. And so, if there was, then I might be more invested in what happens. But there's just none, and it seems like the characters that are interested in romance are kind of pitied or laughed at, right? There is a Hashira that her whole gimmick is she joined the Hashira because she, she wants to get married. That's it. Anyways, um, the only character flaw in Tajiro, the main character, is that he's not strong enough. He doesn't have enough training. The main character, other than that, is flawless. He is an amazing dude. He is a stand-up role model, which feels like he's a character made for kids to uh, model after, to mimic, right? Tajiro, right? He's strong, he's determined. He will do anything for loved ones and to protect others, right? Pretty infallible. And the show never shows like him really being wrong or doing the wrong thing. And I guess I'm so much more used to shows writing characters with character flaws that they start to overcome a little bit. But the only character flaw he has is that he's not strong enough yet. He needs more training, right? So I don't know. Uh, can they see through all of their masks? There's a bunch of characters in this show like that, but I'm pretty sure he's a ghost. Um, that wear masks, and I'm confused. Like I guess there could be fabric or there could be isolates, but some of the masks it doesn't seem like it. I was just like questioning like, are they using other senses to see? Because there's no way that they see through that mask. I don't know. Uh, Another question or oddity is that the young, that very young demon slayers are able to defeat demons that are up to, well, like at least 100 years old or even more, many centuries old, like 300 years old, right? And they've been able to kill countless Hashira and other very experienced demon slayers in the past. And yet, our main character and the Hashira he's with through power of love, friendship, and his innate power, can defeat these demons. And it's just like, it just feels cheap to me, right? It feels like the demons are written to be cartoonishly evil, right? I guess like it is a cartoon, and so, but they're all vain. They're all like, I'm having so much fun killing you. I can't wait to see you die. Yeah. And then they get overpowered and they're like, what the heck? There's no way he could break through all of that. This makes no sense. He must be very strong. And then they get defeated, right? And it just feels cheap. It feels like there's no stakes when Demon's 100 years old gets slain by like a 10-year old. Oh, all right. Another question I have is like, why don't they weaponize more of more of uh, the technology that they have uh, to kill demons, right? There's two things, right? There is a plant called hysteria, where uh, it has anti-demonic properties, where it can hurt them. It repels them, right? And it has been used as a poison in the show, but I you would think, or I would think that they would find more ways to hurt demons with that, like with gas, like hysteria gas or hysteria bullets, right? There is guns in this show, but they're not very utilized. They're only utilized by like one uh, demon slayer that's training to be a Hashira, right? But guns have proven to be very effective at killing people from long distances. And so if you have a bunch of like hysteria bullets or this special metal that they make swords with, uh, and this metal is the only metal that can kill demons when you slice off their heads, right? I would think that they would have other technologies besides a sword to use in their arsenal. I don't know. It's just wasted potential, is just what I'm saying. Uh, Demons aren't more aggressive uh, or on the offense against the demon slayers, right? It is demon slaying to lurk in the shadows. They die when they are in contact with sunlight, right? Uh, but with the big bad guy, I think his name is Muzai. Muniz? Muniz? I'm just gonna call him Lord Muzai, right? Uh, he has like the 12 ranks of the strongest demons to kill demon slayers, and yet they're all just like sitting in place most of the time, and they're not really hunting demon slayers, and they're not really. I just I don't fully understand why. Maybe it's too dangerous, right? Maybe they'd blow their cover. I don't know, right? Uh, what was I gonna say? I don't know. Let's move on to next point. Is that the game feels that the show feels very video gaming like, where I where the world wakens up to the protagonist and major events happen. One, it feels like the protagonist is the main character of a video game, and like this whole world for him to explore and talk to NPCs and to, of acquire new skills. I don't know the best way to explain how I'm feeling when I'm watching this show, but it definitely feels like the show revolves around the main character, right? Okay, let's stop being so negative here, right? Let's go into like the praises of Demon Slayer. Uh, it's very beautiful art. Uh, in the fight scenes, they do blend 2D with 3D animation. It seems it can be a bit off-putting at times. I'm sometimes I'm confused. Like, are they using like like real life footage and then they're putting filters over it to make it look more anime? Uh, but it still looks nice, right? It does its job well, right? It passes somewhat as an entertaining anime. I mean, yeah, I want to keep watching it. If it wasn't somewhat entertaining, honestly, I can't find much else good television to watch. So maybe I need a palate cleanser with this, but yeah, it's somewhat entertaining. And it seems like there's a lot of lore to it. It talks about the different ages, and so maybe it would be interesting one day to study more about the show and dissect its history, right? There's always subtle hints talking about different eras, right? And I really love that they humanize the enemies in this show, right? And that's one of the strengths of the main character is that he has a heart of gold and that he sympathizes with everyone, right? Hurt people, essentially. And that's what he understands is that these demons were once humans and they were most of them were turned into demons against their will and they can't help the feeling to crave flesh, right? That's not really their fault and they probably won't. Survival instincts are very strong in everyone, right? And so just understanding that like being a demon is like a sickness, right? They deserve our sympathy, our pity, right? And at the end of like every fight, it goes into like the backstory a little bit about each demon and how they became what they became, right? It unearths who they are, and so I like how it humanizes them, and it humanizes like the characters that are really mean and aggressive, but you start to understand why these humans are the way that they're not doing this so much as an act of evil. They just think what they're doing is right, and that can be compelling at times. And lastly, I find myself just chuckling at the goofiness, at the absurdity of these characters interacting with each other. Or they'll just say something really dumb, and I just can't help but just like laugh because it's like, that was so unneeded, but you say it with such gusto. Good job. Good job. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts about Demon Slayer. Uh, it's overall somewhat entertaining, but really boring at times, right? It's a good show to have on the background, just with how slow it can be, right? I don't know. I've not looked too much into this community, so I might get a lot of hate with this video. I apologize. Uh, I'm just an ignorant scrub when it comes to anime. I'm very casual. I watch with subtitles on and also with an English dub. because I am a slow reader, and it's just easier to watch shows where I don't have to constantly be looking at the show to hear or see what's going on, right? I can just like hear what's going on. And so I know that's very much frowned upon. It's just how I like to consume media, right? So yeah, if you've watched this show, tell me why I'm wrong, tell me why I'm right. I don't know. And if you like this video, like this video. If you don't, then mass dislike this video. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. And hope the rest of your day, time is passable and entertaining. All right.